Hello everybody, this is Wayne again from One-on-One Animation, and I'm going to show the importance of pushing your poses. And what I mean by that is a lot of times when people are starting out in animation, they're a little timid in their poses. They think they pushed it enough. The basic rule when you're starting out in animation, especially if you're doing cartoony sort of work, you want to exaggerate it because that's the whole idea of cartoon animation, and it's to exaggerate things and push them more. Now, I will say that there are cases where this isn't so true. For example, if you look at the feature films that have more serious characters, uh, the queen, the prince, the princess, just more serious characters. They're a little more subtle, but even in those, understand that they still look to push the poses. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to share an example like I always do with just simple stick figures, and we'll get started here. So what I created here is, so we have this pose, it goes into that pose. Now this works, it's just very basic and it works. But can we make it better and stronger? Yes. So I'm going to turn this off, this one on. Now we'll take a look. Let me turn the onion skin off. Now we'll take a look at this pose to that pose. As you can see, it's much more, let me get rid of this. It's much more exaggerated and pushed. So as we go into this one right here, we can see the hip comes out much stronger in that way. Line of action is coming around that way, and the head tilt is much more tilted, and everything about it, the gesture in it, is much stronger. So if I was going to do a breakdown of this, which I'm going to demonstrate coming from this drawing, first I'll put in another drawing and turn back on onion skin, and now we can see the two poses. So I'm even going to push the breakdown. I'm going to push that stronger than this breakdown as we go in there. So let me go back there. There it is. Come to the blank one, and of course they would first, you know what, I'm going to put in two breakdowns, anticipation and then breakdown. It comes into here and then to the last pose there. So I'll come up a little bit with anticipation, make my pencil a little too big. There we go. Down that opacity power a little bit. There, that's good enough. So I'm just gonna quickly put in an antic with our stick figure here. Everything will, maybe the feet will come up a little bit. I'm just deciding I'm gonna have the hands come down. The volume's a little bit bigger. I'm just putting in straights. Counteraction, hands are coming down. Maybe the head. Tilt. A little more that way. A a little more in drawing. Exaggerate that foot a little bit. Okay, that should be fine. So here's the anticipation, and then there's going to be a drawing after that. So I'm going to push that breakdown. So when he comes down into there, I'm going to have him swing around more. So he's going to come out, it's going to swing around here. There's that torso that is going to pinch on this side. Stretched on this. Comes down. Keep those feet, we want to keep those feet planted. Nothing worse than seeing the feet slipping all over the place. So you always want to keep those registered. Okay. Got that working. Counteraction coming down. Legs coming out. Squashing down right there. Put a little counteraction. Arms. I'm going to break this up to where and I just keep flipping it. Now look, I'm breaking up these arms. I don't want them, it's called twinning. So I'm gonna break them up where they're not completely symmetrical. This one's a little, this down in this direction, and then this one's up a little higher, and then I'll just go like so. Bring those hands up, and then he's gonna come in and up into there. And we got to remember that this little demo here is about pushing the pose. So what I did was I pushed this pose much more than when we go to that pose right there. Let me turn that off. See, this would be the breakdown before. So if you look at that pose, pretty boring, not much action in there. And this one, come back up here, and now we see the antic that's in there, and here's the breakdown. Now we can see this is push much more than that other breakdown with the first scene I was showing you. And then he's just going to come up into there. And so all the poses are pushed now. And so when I go in to do the in-betweens and maybe some more breakdowns, like an overshoot right there, it's going to work better. It's going to just be a stronger action. And that really is the idea that we want to try to get through our animation, through doing character animation. So anyways, I mean, I'll continue on. I'll show you, let me just put in a little overshoot here. So he's coming around, the green's coming up, and I'm just going to make it very subtle, coming back up. Then he's going to come into this area. I could do this many ways. I might as well talk about this also. Look, I can do this to where I can have the head dragging up into this one. It's a little delayed. And then on the torso, I could really push that out there if I wanted to. And the torso is what's really doing the overshoot here. And then I'll push this foot up, register the feet. And there you can see this gesture, this line of action. Everything is going past this point on the torso. So I just push that drawing. Let's see what we'll do with the hand here. I'm just deciding now what I'm going to do is put not a blur stretch, but a stretch with the hand where the hand is straight. So I'm going to push that overshoot where it's just, there's the hand and here's the straight of the hand, and here's that belly coming out right there. Maybe I'll put it down here. I think I might like this. Okay, so I'm just going to change the length of that. And I'm just putting in these quick shapes for it. And this hand and arm is going to catch up with that final pose. I'll put in one more breakdown. Now he's settling in. Up here, up to this drawing there. And I've decided I'm not going to overshoot the head. I'm just going to have it cushion in. And then I want to make that much clearer. And now it's settling back in to the orange drawing. Hope that makes sense. So I pushed the poses and now I'm just putting in a couple more breakdowns. It's going to come right into there. And then on this, I'm going to just pop that hand up and maybe I'll drag the hand a little bit there. And this one's going to be just about there. I'm being truer to this key pose right there. Now I'm just gonna come down, cushion in to this head tilt. At this point, it's very important that you don't go off track, that you put in something that's extremely different, because we're already narrowing down the action. Hope that makes sense. And then I'm gonna do a trace back of this drawing. And this will be what is, you can call it's a moving hold, where it's just going to, right here, right on these fingers here, are going to be more drawings to keep the character alive at the very end. I'm going to trace back the body of that key, the last drawing. And see, you can do this with just these stick figures. When you're just trying to learn the principles of animation. You don't have to get in there at the beginning, get all elaborate, unless you choose to. That's fine too. But a lot of times, like when I'm teaching my students, I try to get them just to keep it very simple in the beginning. And then after that, like some can draw really well, some don't have as much drawing experience. And what I'm teaching is the principles of the animation, and I tell them, you know, if you want to get better with the drawing aspect of it, that's some sort of separate. You just got to draw. So now we're just gonna stay within here, and here we go. So I think this should work. Let me flush that out a little bit more. See everything. And now what I'll do is I will create a pose test from this. What I'm going to do is go through each frame and whoa. And let's take a look. Hopefully this will time out pretty good. Okay, so there we got a real simple movement. He just comes up into that pose. Whatever the timing, if I wanted to make it slower, I kind of like this snappy timing. I would just add in the in-betweens at this point. And I got all my, down here on my timeline, I have all the corresponding numbers. You know, this is drawing 1. This is drawing 21, 25, 20, let me get rid of that. That was some old. 27, 29, 31. These are more breakdowns, actually. This one isn't. This is the key. And then it just settles into 35, and you've all heard me talk about, I hope this makes sense, when you put in the moving hold, you can take off drawings from 35 and add them onto 31 if you want a very subtle slowing, moving hold, cushion. So on 31, if I wanted to, I could take off some drawings and I can make this drawing 35. I can make that drawing 45 if I choose to. So let's just say that I did choose to. And what I would do is I'm going to make that 45 now. So I would go back to this drawing and 45 would be down here. And then I would just do a real simple cushion because we don't have any other elements in this. We don't have any clothing or hair or anything that's on different timing. And what I would do is I would just cushion into it. So we're going 35, that's 33, 35, 37, 39, 41, 43. And like I've shown you before, these are just straight in-betweens that are cushioning in, just to make it simple. This is really for beginners in the beginning. And that's my center point right there. And what that will do is it will just make it cushioned completely. So what I'm going to do, I think I'll just follow through on this. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the rest of the in-betweens in, and then I'll show you what it will look like and just to show you that it will work. So I will get back to you on this. Note right here, I change the gesture of the hand that's coming down. Now I've talked about crossing the shapes, and that's what this is, to give it a little more snap. When that hand goes that, gonna come up that direction and then coming up there. And now here's going to be the moving hold. And it's going to be very subtle, extremely subtle. And tedious. This is going to be the part where I'm going to focus on for the moving hold. I'm going to do it in a very loose fashion, but this is where I got to slow down a little bit, make sure that these in-betweens don't jitter too much. But I am working rough here, but I think the ideas will get across. And understand, this is important. Everything else is pretty much a trace back, except for this section right here in the hand. But even the trace backs, that will give you a sense of, it will keep it alive. And it's not the only way to do it. It's just one way to do it, but it is the way to do it if you want to keep, if you want a full animation, feature quality type of work. Okay, hopefully this will work. Oh, got a couple drawings that are... Okay, this should work. Okay, so there we did a very quick little action there, striking a pose. And to just recap, the main thing to remember, this is it after it's all been in between with the breakdowns and everything. And but what you want to remember is when we had started, let me turn that off, go back here. Remember these poses. These were the ones that we were starting with. And they, you know, would they work? Yes, they would work. Do they work as dramatically? No. And is it as much fun? It's almost just movement. So the thing you want to remember is when you're, especially when you're starting out, when you do a drawing and you do a pose, don't be too quick to accept it. Look at it and think, well, can I push this more, this way, that way, with the tilts, with the weight and all of that. And what you want to try to end up is something that's just a little bit more exaggerated and has a little bit more drama in it, just like this. So this is a simple little stick figure test. I hope this helps. Let me play it on a bigger screen. Okay. So what I did was I pushed the poses. That's what I did in the beginning. I had those original ones and I pushed them. And I pushed them pretty far, and you can even push them more. You'll notice, this is very important also. You'll notice that this really isn't that broad of a movement. Even though I pushed the poses, I could have made it much more broad if that's what the scene had called for. But if I had done those first set of keys, it would be pretty boring. So I hope this helps, and thank you for watching.